Today I want to talk about Grimshire, the game that dares to ask, what if we took Stardew Valley and made you make all your friends, and then we took them away from you in the most horrible possible way? And I'm making this video because I really don't know how to feel about the game, so I'm hoping as I talk about it and explore kind of how I felt playing it, it'll help me come to a conclusion because I don't know where to put this game. Hopefully you can tell me. Now, obviously, there's going to be some spoilers as I talk about the story and some things that happen, so if you want to go into this game blind, as I think you should, it might be best to just go buy the game and start playing it rather than watching a review or talking about it. And I really do think that going into this game blind is the best way to experience it. It is supposed to be like this hopeless, forlorn survival game where you really feel the struggle, and if you don't have all the tips and tricks that the players are kind of putting together now, if you don't have a wiki like you do for Stardew Valley, it is very hard and there's a lot of stuff you simply won't know. So I do think that is the best experience. So with that warning out of the way, if you're still here, let's talk about Grimshire. So the whole shtick of the game is that there is a food hole or a hovel or a food hut, and essentially every week all the citizens need to eat. You have herbivores who need plants or herbs, and you have omnivores who need meat or herbs, and then you have only carnivores who can only eat meat like fish and eggs and things like that. And if you don't feed them, then you have to bury your friends. They literally cremate them and watch you burn your friends that you've gotten to know because you couldn't feed them. And while it is an interesting mechanic, there is still a lot of information coming out about it, and it is worth noting that we don't fully understand it maybe, and it may change. It is an early access game, so where it's at now may not be where it's at in the future. So as of this video, as far as I understand, only the 10 dateable characters can pass away through certain events. And those events are either triggered by you failing to complete quests or you failing to have enough food at certain key moments. I know that some people, when they saw the store front of the game, they thought, okay, everyone can perish and the entire city can just die. And that's what I thought when I bought the game, and that's what I've been under the impression of before making this video. I thought, if I run out of food, the entire town will starve and I'll have to start over. That doesn't appear to be the case, but again, that might change in the future. So here's how I have a hard time placing the game. Because at first, I was really excited for this premise. In Stardew Valley, as much of a great game as it is, greatest game of all time, I acknowledge it is a perfect 10 out of 10, I often find myself getting bored that there's not really a goal. Like, there's no fail state. Like, I'll make a lot of money, no matter what, I'll make money. There's no way for me to fail. I'll just continue to grow the farm and get more and more and more and more. And for a cozy game, that's what a lot of people want out of a cozy game. I understand that I am in the minority for saying I want my cozy games to still have a little bit of like urgency, a little bit of something to do. And this game delivers that. By having a weekly goal of not starving out your villagers, you feel like you're constantly having something to do. You make the most of every single day. Every little bit of energy counts. You feel like you have to cook and have to build things up because if you don't, everyone's gonna starve and that feels bad. That means efficiency is the name of the game. You can see here I've got 2 smokehouses and about 10 different drying racks, and that's not enough. Going into this completely blind without help from the community, I felt like I was constantly struggling, and I realized it's because if you read the community, they've got like 20 smokehouses and 50 drying racks, and they're much more expansive than me. I am not doing enough here, and that led to where I got to this lull in the game, where I was like, I don't feel like I'm playing the game. I feel like I'm just surviving. Like, I get up every day and I go and fish for as many fish as I can get to try and feed my carnivores, and I water my crops. And by the time I'm fishing and watering my crops and gathering all the gatherables, it's 8 o'clock at night. I have 0 energy left and I'm just going to bed and starting it over. I was like, that's not very fun. But then I realized, wait a second, that's what the game is. Like, that's what it's trying to present itself. It's supposed to be this hardcore survival where you feel like you're just grasping to keep everyone alive. You feel like you're drowning in this debt of there's so much food, there's so much need, I never have enough time, never have enough stamina, and you actually get to experience that. So many survival games do things where it's like, oh, there's a hunger meter, but by day 2 you have so much food that the hunger meter really doesn't matter. Or you build like an automatic water thing so you don't have to go out and search for water. Like, it makes it too easy. This game does not give that to you. This game does not hold your hand in that way. You feel like you're just barely scraping by week to week, and it accomplishes the goal that it sets out to meet. So I can't fault the game for that. That's what it wants to feel like. And like an Elden Ring game or a Souls-like game, I had to ask myself, is it the game's fault, or do I just need to get good? And I realized I need to get good. There was a lot of inefficiency I had. Like I said, I don't have enough drying racks. I don't have enough smoking racks. I'm not spending enough time farming. I was completely ignoring the ability to go get creatures and ranching, because typically I don't enjoy ranching. So like Stardew Valley, I thought, I'll ignore the ranching. I'll just focus on fishing the mines and harvesting crops, because that's what I enjoy. You can't do that. You've got to access every tool in your arsenal. And then the game raises the stakes on you. Every week, after a certain point, the king comes and demands a tribute of even more food. So you're like, okay, I'm barely holding on getting this much food, and then they raise it up. And then they raise it up again. And then you get this red plague where all your fish start to get sick, and now it's harder to fish and harder to get food for carnivores. Like, it keeps piling on the stakes of the game. And certain quests, like the one that I've been doing as you've been kind of watching in the background here, was I had to build a fishing hut. I had to collect certain resources, and the community gathers some of those resources too. We put it together to help them farm a few more fish, since fish were getting destroyed by this plague. But if I failed to complete that quest in the time allotted, the person who suggested the quest is gone forever. That character dies. So there's a huge pressure on, okay, so I'm barely scraping by, I barely have enough to survive, but now I also have to fit in completing this quest, which usually means gathering up hundreds of different materials. Like, this game is inventing its own genre of cozy but stressful. Is that a thing? Like, stressful, cozy game. And I think now, with the knowledge I have, if I started over, I could probably start out pretty darn well. And I think it would be much easier, and I wouldn't be having these feelings, because I would have that foreknowledge to go into it. Okay, I really need to spend these first 8 days doing this rather than talking to everyone. I need to spend the first 12 days doing this rather than sleeping in early. I need to not donate as many crops and use more of it for stamina so that I can get farther in the mine, so I can upgrade my tools before summer. But honestly, that doesn't sound as fun to me. Like I said, the best way to go into this game was completely blind, because I'm getting these feelings of survival and hopelessness. And once I go back into it, I think I'm just going to optimize the fun out of it, because I will solve all those problems, and those hurdles will no longer be hurdles. So I haven't started over. I've just been going as fast and hard as I can to try and finish the game, to see where do I land on my first run through with all the mistakes intact, without looking up guides and different things like that. And I definitely don't think this game is for everyone. I've seen a lot of people even say things like Stardew Valley is too stressful, with the fact that you can miss out on certain seasons and you need to be friends with everyone, you need to do certain gifts. And if Stardew Valley is too stressful for you, then this game definitely would be in a whole different league. And that's okay. As we learned with Helldivers 2, a game for everyone is a game for no one. Not every game needs to be for every person. But if you enjoy a challenge and you want a little bit more oomph to your cozy game, I really do feel like this is the game that will do it. Gameplay aside for a moment, let's talk about some of the other stuff. The music is really good. It's not quite to the level of Stardew Valley, which again, that's very hard to reach. I feel like the Stardew Valley soundtrack is one of the greatest video game soundtracks of all time. Like, I go and listen to it when I need to concentrate at work. I just have it on in the background. Sometimes I listen to it while I'm driving. I super enjoy the Stardew Valley theme track or soundtrack. However, this game has a good soundtrack too. It fits the vibes. I find myself listening to it and noticing, like, when the soundtracks change, I'm really interested in it and where you're at. It is a very good soundtrack, and it may improve over time as well. I don't think it's quite as good as Stardew Valley, but that's not saying it's bad. It's very, very good. It's just not the greatest of all time. I feel like the characters are really well written. At the time of making this video, marriage isn't quite an option. They're still implementing it, so we don't have like all the heart events. We don't have a fully fleshed out character in that way. But what we do have is very promising. I especially want to shout out the children characters. It's very often that children characters are written pretty terribly in most forms of media, but the children in this game really feel like children. You're in this grim and hopeless situation, and you have a kid run up to you like, "Hey, I found a quarter. Do you want it?" And it's just so random but funny. But also you could see a kid doing that. They talk about their best friends. They talk about their rock collection. They like going out and playing hide and seek. Like, they feel like really fleshed out, good characters, and I really appreciate that. And the rest of the cast really reacts to what's going on around them. There's oftentimes, I'm going to compare to Stardew Valley again, because that's what everyone's going to do, where in Stardew Valley, you know the characters, you know the exact path they're going to go on, you know what they are going to say, they just exist. These characters feel like they're reacting to the story as creatures are going mad, as the king's coming and collecting extra tribute, as people are getting worried, as people witness death, they're going to start having these worries and struggles and talk to you about it. And that feels really real. They're living, breathing creatures that are reacting to the world that's happening around them. That is very hard to achieve, and I think they have achieved that really well in this game. So if you care about that aspect of the game, like what these characters feel, learning about the characters and all that, you are going to love this. And the whole world feels alive. Different fish in different locations. You sometimes find catfish in the marsh. You find other fish up in the river. Sometimes you find random creatures running about that you can tame. The harvestables of the world feel realistic, and you're constantly just running around rummaging, trying to get seeds to grow. So you can find rhubarb randomly, you can find lavender randomly. The trees can give you seeds that you can smoke. Like, I feel like I want to go foraging. In Stardew Valley, when I go foraging, it's okay, I'm going to go run to these exact spots where it spawns. I'm going to get this, and I'm going to sell it for money to buy what I want. Whereas here, I'm constantly scouring around trying to find all the different harvestables. And then there's a question, okay, do I want to let it sit longer so it turns to seeds for me to grow my own? Or do I need to pick it now so that I have that rhubarb or corn or whatever to donate so that people can eat it today? It's an interesting decision to make, and it makes there a little bit more depth to the whole process of foraging. There doesn't appear to be combat, and that's usually the best and worst part of these games. Like, no one thinks the combat in Stardew Valley or any of its many clones is good, right? You just jam the A button to swing your sword, hope to take out the monsters. It feels tacked on and like there's not a whole lot to it. I like the decision they so far have gone to just ignore that and not put monsters in the game. Instead, you're fighting against stamina, and the interesting thing with the mines is it doesn't reset when you leave. It resets when it collapses. So you go around digging, and eventually you'll hit a wall that says it's unstable. If you keep digging, it will collapse and you have to start over from floor 1. The deeper you go, the better the rewards you get. So rather than having to fight monsters, you're kind of fighting against the pressure of, do I dig deeper? Do I risk this? Do I gamble this to try and get through this wall or get those goodies there? Or do I try a different route? I've already spent all the stamina to get here. It again gives you interesting choices without tacking on a so-so combat system that really feels out of place in some games. And you know, talking about this has really helped. If the graphics are good, the characters are good, the writing is good, the mines are good, and the gameplay loop is enthralling and realistic to what they're trying to portray, then it's a good game, right? I really do think that this is going to be a great game when they finish it. Right now, they only have year 1 in the game. Some of the festivals don't work, so there's still plenty more to come. But what they have right now is serviceable and passable for a good experience, and I think it can only go up from here. And if the game was a $60, $70, $100 AAA thing, I think at this point I'd say, you gotta wait because you know how those studios are. But for $15, for the $15 they're charging for full price for this game in early access where it is now, it is worth the full $15. Even if you never come back to the game, I think you can get a full $15 experience out of what is currently in the game. Now, before I finish, I do want to talk about a couple of things I haven't yet and a couple of things that I didn't like, just to be fair to the other side of people who don't like the game. There is a skill system, as there always is in games like this, and there's a lot of really interesting ones, and there's a lot of not interesting ones. So there's things like, 5% more money for selling things, 5% more things for buying things. Like, yeah, it's useful, but like, it's not interesting. It doesn't change anything. There's ones that like increase your stamina. They're absolutely necessary. But then there's also ones that are unique to the race you pick. So you can be a rabbit, you can be a fox, you can be a bear. And that, I know that the kids are going to split the community. Like, I didn't want to be a bear, but the extra fruit out of bushes sounded to be like a really good idea for the game. And I found out that rabbit is probably better for the more herbivore, 10% chance for a bumper crop. I don't like being forced to choose one character over another just to get an advantage. So I do hope that that maybe is reconsidered in the future. I also don't like that there is, in order to grow your barn, you have a random chance of running into animals out in the wild, but in order to get them, you have to tame them, and in order to tame them, you need to give them their favorite vegetable, and you need to figure that out. And that can be a real big pain in the butt because, okay, now I've got to carry around 50 different vegetables and figure out which one works and which one doesn't work. And I get what they're kind of going for, and you're supposed to learn the game and get the game knowledge, but I think most people just pull up the wiki and look up, okay, who eats what. And so it just adds extra steps to the game that if people don't enjoy this and don't want this, why is it there? Why can't it just tell us this guy needs blueberries, or, talk to the local rancher and he'll tell us something a little bit more there. I don't like the guessing game of it. For the people, it's kind of the same thing as you're trying to figure out what they like and dislike. You can give them random things and waste your time, or you can just look at the wiki. At least for that one, there is a skill at level 3, tier 3, you can unlock it so you know all their likes and dislikes, so you can circumvent that in the game eventually, but for the animals, you cannot. The final thing I don't like that I'm confident this will be changed at some point because it's so bad, is that there are certain menu options that are just completely hidden. Like if you want to upgrade your tool, you go to the blacksmith. That makes sense. So you go to the blacksmith shop and it's not in the shop menu. So you talk to the blacksmith and it's not there. Well, you have to talk to the blacksmith multiple times and then he gives you the option to upgrade your tools. Why isn't it either A, the first option or an option in a menu that pops up when you talk to him, or B, just available in the shop in general? Why is it hidden? I was unable to build a coop because I didn't understand I had to talk to a certain person multiple times to unlock the ability to build a coop. I really felt that was not a good way to go about it, and there's a lot more user-friendly way to do that. It's the same thing when you upgrade your tool. He'll say, come back in 2 days. So you come back in 2 days and talk to him, and he won't give it to you. You have to talk to him multiple times until he says, oh yeah, I almost forgot, I owe you this. Like, why is it playing games with me? I just want my tool back. I need that tool to keep you alive. Why are you playing games with me? So I really hope that does change. But as far as a list of complaints go, if those are my only complaints for an early access game, they are doing something right, because I have played some early access games with a lot more complaints. So I think I've finally put together my thoughts on this, and I can safely say I do recommend it, do play it, but if you don't enjoy a stressful experience, if you truly want like a more chill, laid-back experience than even Stardew Valley, this game is not going to be it, so be forewarned. But if you enjoy the stress, I think this might be a game you truly enjoy.